curse can close every door in a calendar and still leave a window open. Nut, forbidden to give birth on any day that exists, is about to become a mother inside 5 days that were never supposed to exist at all. Something is about to be born that no calendar was ever built to hold. What is born when the rules of time themselves have a hole in them? And what happens to a family when one child is favored from the first breath and another is not? For 5 nights that belong to no month, no season, no God's ledger, the sky bends low over the earth. Nut labors above the world she was torn from. And the first to come is announced before he even opens his eyes. The birds over the temples of the Delta call out his name before the midwife does. Osiris, Lord of all. The child arrives calm, almost patient, as if he had already decided what kind of king he intended to be. Where his cry should be, there is silence, a silence the priests will later call majesty, though no one at the time is certain it is not something colder. The second child does not wait his turn. He tears his way into the world before the appointed hour, before the ritual words are even spoken over him, and the earth itself seems to flinch at the violence of it. This is Set. There is no name called out from the sky for him. No priest kneels early. He is given a name the way one gives a name to something that has already happened rather than something that was expected. And in that gap, in that half-second where his brother's birth was foretold and his was merely endured, something is planted that will not be undone by any later kindness. The third child arrives so quietly that for a moment, no one is certain she has arrived at all. Isis. She does not cry either, but not from calm, from attention. Her eyes are open before her body has finished the passage into the world, and they are already moving, already measuring the room she's been born into. A room where the loudest child already has a throne waiting, and the second loudest has already been marked as trouble, and she has neither noise nor birthright to claim as her own. The fourth is Nephthys, and by the time she is born, the 5 days are already closing behind her, like a door no one remembers to prop open. She is the quiet one, the one people forget to mention when they list the 4. That forgetting will cost more than anyone in this room can yet imagine. By the time the 5th night ends, the sky above the birthing place is already thinning back into ordinary time. The stolen light Thoth won from the moon spent down to nothing. 4 cries, one announced, one violent, one silent, one already learning to be overlooked, marked the only days in the entire history of the world that belong to no month and no God's authority but their own. The calendar closes behind them, the way a wound closes over something that will still, years later, ache when the weather changes. Osiris grows first, as he was born first, and grows into exactly what his birth promised. He does not seize the throne of Egypt. Egypt simply arranges itself around him, the way water arranges itself around a stone that was always going to be there. He takes Isis as his queen and his wife, as the old order demands, in a ceremony no one thinks to question. Siblings marrying siblings is simply how the first family of the world keeps its power inside itself, the same pattern their own parents lived by. Priests anoint them both beneath a canopy of woven reeds, and the crowd that gathers along the riverbank sees only what it expects to see. The favored son and the clever sister, the throne and the crown that seems built to sit beside it. A match so natural that no one in the watching crowd stops to ask what the other 2 children standing at the edge of the ceremony are feeling.
Do you really think this is right?
But Set watches this arrangement from the edge of every room it happens in. And what he sees is not a natural pairing. It is a second inheritance he was never offered. His brother was given the throne before he could speak. Now he is given the wife of Isis's cunning as well. As if the world had decided, twice over, without ever asking Set a single question, who deserved to matter. He stands at the back of the wedding crowd in clothes as fine as anyone's, close enough to touch the canopy if he reached for it. And no one turns to look for his reaction, because no one has thought to wonder whether he might have one. Set says nothing. He learns instead to watch, the way a man watches weather he cannot control, cataloging every small slight, every place his name is left off a list, every festival where his brother is toasted and he is merely present. None of it is cruelty aimed at him. That is what makes it unbearable. No one has to be cruel to Set for Set to be erased. Isis, meanwhile, watches the court from a different angle entirely. She sees how the men who serve Osiris receive their positions through his approval alone, through birth, through the accident of who their father was, and how easily that same logic would leave her exactly where it leaves every wife of a favored son. Honored in name, powerless in fact, her worth measured only by the throne she happens to sit beside, rather than anything she built herself. She watches Set learn this lesson the hard way and decides, without ever saying so aloud, that she will not learn it the same way. She understands something plainly, without bitterness, the way one understands weather. No one is going to hand her power either. Osiris was given his by the sky before he could speak. She will have to take hers. She goes to the one place strength has never been divided by gender or birth order, the oldest god still walking the earth. Ra is ancient now. His hands shake. He drools when he sleeps in the heat of the afternoon. And it is this small, undignified detail of an aging body, that gives Isis her opening. She gathers what falls from him onto the sand, and with a patience that will define every decade of her life afterward, shapes it into a serpent and sets it in his path. The bite is small, the consequence is not. Ra collapses in his own hall, poison moving through a body that has never once, in all his ages, felt anything he could not command. Sweat runs down a face that has never sweated. His skin, always gold, dulls to the color of old river clay. He calls every god he trusts to cure him, and one by one they try, and one by one they fail. Thoth presses cool water to his lips and recites every healing spell in his own considerable library, and the venom does not slow. Other gods bring charms, ash, the blood of animals sacred to a dozen different cults, and none of it so much as touches the poison because none of them know what Isis knows, that this venom answers only to a name, and the name they know him by is not the name that made him. Ra offers gold. Ra offers titles. Ra offers, in his agony, nearly everything he has, and still the venom climbs, and the hall grows quieter with every god who tries and fails and steps back. Isis waits. She does not offer to cure him first. She lets the fire spread until his greatest terror is no longer the pain, but the fear that this is how the sun ends. Quietly, in a private hall, poisoned by something too small to see. Only then does she name her price. Not gold, not land, not a place at his side by his gift. She wants the name itself, the true one, the one spoken before the world existed, the one that made his other name, the one everyone shouts in prayer. Nothing but a mask worn over the real thing. Ra refuses twice. The third time, with the poison closing his throat, he speaks it, not aloud to the hall, but into her alone. In a moment the narration will not repeat, because some things are only ever given once. The healing comes instantly, the way all true magic does when it is finally paid for in full. Ra rises from his bed alive. Isis rises from her kneeling with something no brother, no husband, no birthright will ever be able to take back from her again. She does not announce it. She does not need to. From that day, when Isis works magic, the sand does not merely obey. It kneels. Osiris takes the throne not by seizing it, but by simply being who everyone already expected him to be. And he uses that inheritance well. He teaches the river people how to read the flood instead of fearing it. how to press seed into black soil at the exact hour it will take root, how to weigh grain on a scale instead of guessing at a harvest, how to settle a debt with a written mark instead of a blood feud. Villages that once scattered when the Nile rose now build their granaries with the flood in mind, confident enough in Osiris's calendar of the waters to plant before the danger has even passed. Courts are held where none existed, disputes settled by a spoken law instead of the strongest arm in the room. Cities rise along banks that had only ever known scattered huts. Isis stands beside him now, not as a woman granted a throne through marriage, but as a queen whose power was earned in a private hall, where an old god believed, until it was too late, that he still controlled every secret he owned. At the great harvest festival that marks the kingdom's first true year of order, the whole court gathers to honor Osiris, and by extension, Isis at his side. Toasts are raised to the king who tamed the river. A cup is raised to the queen whose magic, though its origin is never spoken aloud in public, is already whispered to be greater than any god's, but Ra's own. Set stands at the back of the hall, in his brother's colors, wearing a smile that costs him something to hold, watching a kingdom built entirely from his brother's birthright and his sister's cunning, with neither the crown of the first nor the craft of the second. No one asks him to speak. No one thinks to. When the wine is poured a second time, it is poured past him without anyone noticing they have done it. Later that night, alone in the quarters given to him at the far end of the palace, the wing added on, not the wing built first. Set takes a cup that was never raised in his honor and does not throw it, does not break it, does not do anything a man watching for a villain would expect. He simply sets it down without drinking from it, and sits in the dark a long while, turning over the one thought that the festival has sharpened past, ignoring. That patience has bought him nothing yet, and may never be asked to buy anything again unless he decides, himself, when it is spent. He was born tearing his way into the world because no one gave him the space to arrive properly. Nothing since. Not the festival, not the years of being present but never toasted. Not the wife he did not choose being handed a crown he was never offered, has given him a different door. Egypt does not see this. Egypt sees only gold and grain and a river finally at peace. Osiris does not see it either, or does not let himself. He greets Set at the morning table the same as always, asks after him the same as always, and never once notices that the answers have grown shorter with every passing year. That the smile takes half a breath longer to arrive than it used to. Isis notices more. She notices almost everything. But what she reads in Set is inconvenience, not danger. A brother-in-law sulking at the edge of a court he was never built to command. Easily managed, easily seated further from the throne at the next feast. She has spent her cunning learning to outthink gods. She has not yet thought to spend any of it on a man she still quietly underestimates. He is too busy dreaming of the next kingdom, of carrying the same gift of law and harvest to peoples who have not yet learned what he taught his own. That is the danger of a house this quiet. Everyone inside it believes the silence means peace. If this is the first crack the gods are watching spread, the ones still to come will land far heavier. Subscribe now so you don't miss where this fault line finally breaks. Osiris announces his plan without asking anyone's leave, because in his own house he has never had to. He will leave to carry civilization outward, beyond the river, to lands that have not yet learned what Egypt learned from him. He does not ask Set to rule in his place. He does not ask anyone. Isis stays behind to govern in his absence, competent, watchful, already trusted with more authority than any queen before her. Which means the palace Set has waited his whole life to matter inside is, for the first time, missing the one presence that always made his invisibility feel complete. The throne, briefly, unguarded, will simply sit closer to a brother who has never once been asked to sit in it. The procession leaves at dawn. Banners and drums and a crowd thick enough to line the entire road out of the city. Everyone's certain they are watching the start of something only good. In the marsh reeds outside the palace walls, half hidden the way she has learned to half hide everything about herself, Nephthys watches her brother-in-law's procession leave the city gates. A husband beside her who barely notices where her attention has gone. A sister ahead of her who has never once had to hide anything in her life. And on her face, for just a moment before she remembers to smooth it away, is a look that has no business being there at all.